All right, there's 9 candles. There's 1 gallon of water. Y'all going? Okay. It is, let's just call it 9:15. I don't think 2 minutes is going to make that big a deal. Oh, you charged? Let me get you out of there. All right, let's just see if 9 candles will boil 1 gallon of water. I know when I made stew in that, it really surprised me that when I came back out here after a short cup of coffee, it was boiling. So I'm fixing to go in and have 1 more cup of coffee. Oh, and I'm going to be doing some experiments with paraffin oil in little tiny paraffin containers that are all a little bit bigger than tea candles. And I'm going to try this. The other video with a cast iron, it did cook bacon, but it took a little while, and I'm thinking that a thinner pan might cook a little faster. So when I get the paraffin, I'm going to try the paraffin in that pan. So, all right, let me go in and drink coffee. We'll be back here in a little bit. All right, it's been 15 minutes. I'm going to do the finger dipping test. See if it's even warming up. Nah. No. Actually, it is warm. I mean, it's lukewarm, and this water sat out here, and it got down to 36 last night. So, so it is slowly warming up, but we'll see. We'll see. I got nothing but time. Okay, it's right at an hour, and I'll show you. It looks like it might. It's really starting to get hot now, but tell you what, I'm gonna try something else. You know, I've been doing just some experiments about water boiling, and I've got a little propane stove. I'm gonna bring it in here, and we're gonna try the 2-cup boiling test, just because. We'll be back. Okay, this is just my little, I've had this for actually years. I don't remember how long. It's been more than 10. It runs off a 1-pound cylinder, but they make an adapter where you can connect this to a 20-pound tank or 30 or whatever. And I have before. I've used this camping a number of times. Back when my wife and I used to go to Bike Week, we brought a lot of stuff with us because we kind of roughed it because we couldn't afford the motels during Bike Week because, they'd be $300-400. Anyway, here's 2 cups of water. It is 10:20. But just to be honest, I never did move those. It's actually 9:20 because I'm an hour ahead. I never did come out here and move that back. So anyway, I'm gonna turn this up and put the 2 cups of water on it at 10:20. Now this I know will boil it in no time at all. It'll boil it long before this gets boiling. I say, I'm just going to guess, I say, 7-8 minutes it'll be boiling. See ya. 4 minutes. We have boiling at 4 minutes. See, I'm sold on these. I knew these worked good. And these 1-pound canisters, you can refill them from a 20-pound canister. It's just this little adapter that you got to buy. It's like $12 on Amazon. And I'll tell you who's done a video on that. It's 1965 Ford. Mo did a video on refilling these 1-pound cylinders. It's really easy to do. I think he even has a link to the adapter. But anyway, yeah, 4 minutes flat. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get my skillet out. I'm gonna cook the rest of that bacon right here. Be right back. And on the 8th day, God said, let there be bacon. All right, 10, we'll call it 10:30. Let's see, it took me an hour to cook bacon on that, right there, using this pan. And we'll just see how long it takes to cook it over propane. We'll be back. And on the 8th day, God said, let there be bacon. All right, 10, we'll call it 10:30. Let's see, it took me an hour to cook bacon on that, right there, using this pan. And we'll just see how long it takes to cook it over propane. We'll be back. All right, I have cooked bacon on this in exactly 10 minutes. So this thing has been running since 10:20. I boiled 2 cups of water in 4 minutes. I cooked these in 10 minutes. So I've had one burner going since 10:20 on full bore. It's wide open. So, tell you what, I'm gonna leave it. Jeez. Woo! I'm gonna leave it going. I want to see how long that tank will last. So far, I got 20 minutes. So far, I'm into this 20 minutes, this tank. And it does not look like this is gonna boil. I've had a couple of candles go out, so I'm down to 7. I'm gonna let this go to 10:15. That will be, will that be, no, I'm sorry, 11:15. I'll let it go to 11:15. That's 35 minutes from now. I really don't think it's gonna boil. But, you know, 2 hours, that'll be more than enough time to determine that or not. In the meantime, I'm gonna see how long this will go. As I started it at 10:20, we'll see how long we can go on that one burner. That's full blast. All the way open. We'll be back. 11:05, and this is still going pretty strong. It does sound like it has slowed down some. This is really cold because, I mean, normally you wouldn't run this thing wide open like that. Yes, dear, I'm talking to YouTube. And I'm going to call this a done test. It's hot, but it's not boiling. So I think that I didn't lower this close enough to the fire. You know, I just made these. I think if I'd cut a ½ an inch off of these, it might have. But it's been, you know, it's been an hour and 50 minutes. I think it's a no-go. But I'm going to do some more experiments with liquid paraffin, and I may revisit this. I'm definitely going to cook bacon and that with liquid paraffin. So, and when this gives out, we'll come back, and that'll be the end of the video. All right, it's been going for 1 hour. Yeah, it's 11:20, 1 hour. And I had this candle went out and this candle went out. The wicks had fallen down into the puddle of molten wax. And when I measured the bottom of my pot was like 1.25 inches above the flames. If I had lowered them, probably ½ an inch, I think this would have actually had a chance to boil. Because that pot, it boiled in 25 minutes. But I'm not done. I hope I'm not wearing you out on these, but to me, I'm just finding it kind of fascinating to see what works and what doesn't. Candles will definitely cook. There's no doubt about that. I've proven it. I made a stew. I cooked bacon. But finding their limits is now what I'm kind of interested in doing. And I found, you know, it's somewhat limited using this fry pan on that. I'm going to try it again using a thinner metal. It's still kind of a heavy fry pan, but nowhere near as heavy as this. And I am going to try some liquid paraffin wax. Well, they're not, I guess they'd be called candles. And I really think that's going to be the trick. And I've added it up. You can buy a gallon of paraffin, liquid paraffin, for I think, 17, 18 bucks. And those little things are supposed to last like 12 hours. So if you only needed it 1 hour and you had five of them, actually, I'll have to let one of you very smart people do the math for me. But anyway, it's looking like it might even be cheaper and hotter, easier to use, more controllable. You control the height of the flame by the height of the wick, and the bigger the flame, the hotter the flame. So there's still some experimentation. I'm only going to show you the high points and things that I discover that may be of interest, and I'll try not to bore you with the little unimportant things. But I'm finding it fascinating, and I hope you are too. We'll be back. The next video will be of when this dies, and it's been, well, an hour. See, I talk too much. It's been an hour and 24 minutes now. 2 full hours. Still going strong. I don't know how long they say it's supposed to last, but this is 2 full hours. So I cooked full steam. I cooked 8 ounces of bacon in 10 minutes and boiled 2 cups of water in 4 minutes. So that was 14 minutes of use. So there's no telling how many days, how many meals you could actually get out of a small cooker like this. Just for convenience and the fact that you can do pretty much anything with it, this would be one of my top go-to things that I would have of a backup source. I have about 40 of them, but then I realized, here, I'm going to show you. This little thing here. You screw your little propane tank here. You turn your big propane tank upside down. You thread this into the thing, you turn the nozzle on, and it fills a little 1 pound up. I actually do it for Dwayne. Dwayne heats his little shop with one of them little buddy heaters, because his shop is pretty big, and he only puts the heater right next to him when he's working out there in the winter, because it's just too big to heat. And that little buddy heater, he turns it up high, and he brings me them 1 pound things, and I fill them back up for him. And anyway, really easy, really cheap. So it is a viable, very viable means of cooking. Oh yeah. God, I'm gonna have about 90 clips here. You're probably gonna get tired of me. Yeah, I modified this just a little bit to fit this pan. This is gonna be the pan I use, because it's much, much thinner than the cast iron. Okay. 3 hours. 3 hours, still going, full blast. I'm really kind of shocked. I never timed this before, and I've used it in such small increments that I never really added up how much time I actually got out of that bottle. This, I'm telling you, I am sold on this. I may be buying more of these little bottles. I just had a memory while I was sitting here thinking about this little stove. This is how long I've had this. 25 years ago, my wife and I bought a house on the bayou. And her and I, she had gone through a divorce. I had gone through a divorce. And when we met, we were both at the bottom of our financial barrels. But we bought a piece of land, her and I, owner financed. And we paid it off in about 6 months. And then we decided that we just didn't want to live out there where we bought the land. So we found this guy that was selling a house on the bayou, and it was well within our means. And since our credit was shot, basically through divorce and starting over in life, he owner financed it, and he was willing to take the land that we had in trade as a down payment, and we paid that house off in like 2 years. Well, that house, it was a wreck. you know, it needed everything new. And me and my wife, we started from the ceiling to the floor and remodeled, rebuilt. Well, the day we moved in, the heater quit working. So I used this stove in the kitchen. I had both burners going, and I had an electric heater in the bedroom. And we went through a whole winter using just this stove and that electric heater. And I'd forgotten how much I like this little stove. So that's how long I've had this stove. But they still make it. They still sell it. Walmart has it. And I just thought that might be an interesting little story. I was just thinking about how far my wife and I have come, and some of the hardships we've endured. Not to mention the 19 years of her and I being married, I was paying 4 digits of child support. Yeah, incredible for all those years, an enormous amount of child support. I paid every dime. Anyway, that's more than you want to know. Still going. 3 full hours. I'm surprised. I'm really amazed. 3 hours, 30 minutes. I almost wish it would run out so I could not have to watch it. I got other things to do. But I thought this is a much, much smaller flame than the beginning of that tank. So I thought what I would do is put 2 cups of water on and just see if that little flame is still capable. I think it is. Of boiling water at the end of that tank's life. So or call it 145, 147, and we'll see. We'll be back. So let's see, 7. God, it did it in like 6 minutes. And that's really about half the flame that it was at the beginning. So this is, it's 20 minutes. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes so far. 3 hours and 40 minutes this thing's been working. I am really amazed that that thing had that much energy in it, BTUs. Okay, that's good to know. Even at the end of its life, it's still capable of boiling water. Very good to know. 4 hours exactly, still going. 4 hours. It keeps going and going and going. Okay, this is 5 hours. 5 hours and 5 minutes. And to tell you the truth, I'm just not going to watch it anymore. I will say that the flame is at a level which would barely be much use right now. It might have another 20-30 minutes in it. I don't know. But I'll tell you, you could cook on it. I mean, look how, this is about as close as I can get to it. It's still putting out a pretty good amount of heat. But so I think you could say 5 hours minimum with one burner, full blast. That's what this has been. Everything's wide open. This is closed. And here's what I've learned. This stove, each burner, and I'll put a link in the description to Amazon. I don't have an Amazon thing. I don't get anything from Amazon. But if you're looking for something like this, Amazon has it cheaper than Walmart. I hate to take from Walmart because they're barely getting by now. Each burner puts out supposedly 5,000 BTUs. This math doesn't add up. I'll tell you why. I've also found that these cylinders contain between 20 and 20,000 BTUs of energy per hour. So if this were a 5,000 BTU burner, it would have burned out 4 hours or 4 hours and 15 minutes into that. So it hasn't. And I'm over 5 hours and it's still going. So either there's more BTUs, and I don't think they could put more in there, or there's less BTUs coming out of the burner, and that's my guess that, maybe it's 4,000 or 3,500, I don't know. It's still way more sufficient it'll boil water. I'm thinking you could put even like a canner on it and get it to come up to temperature. I have that much faith in this. If you're looking for an emergency backup system for the most bang for your dollar, this is what I would get, and a whole bunch of them. Or I'll also put a link to that adapter that you can refill these from 20-pound cylinders. I'll put a link in to a hose that you can connect here and connect the other end to a 20-pound propane tank, and this thing would last for weeks. What else? The stove. I'll put a link in for the stove, and I just can't think of anything else to say. I mean, this experiment started off with me seeing if I can boil water in my other stove that I made the stew in. That, you know, that was a no-go. And then it turned into be more about this because, you know, my motivation, my goal is to see what works and what doesn't work. And this is tops. I would, this would be my primary backup if I didn't have electricity. And I also think my second backup, and I don't have it, I've built one, and that is a solar oven. I built a solar oven. It worked perfect, but the thing is, you know, I've said before, and if you've watched my videos, you probably get it. I tend to overbuild things, and I overbuilt that solar oven to the point where I had to put wheels on it. And then it was so big, I didn't have anywhere to put it. So I dismantled it, and I kept the important parts, and I used some of it for other projects. I mean, nothing gets wasted around here. So one of these days I'm going to get another solar oven, or I'm going to end up building another solar oven, and this time I'm going to control myself. I'm going to build it much, much smaller and use better materials. A friend of mine, John Strabismus, he has a channel, and on his channel he built a solar oven out of cardboard, and he got his oven, made our cardboard, hotter than I was able to get my oven, and I spent, you know, I was an over-the-road truck driver, so I could just work on it whenever I was home. It took me weeks to build that solar oven. And he built his in the weekend and was cooking in it. And he got his temps up way higher than I was able to achieve in mine. So it just goes to show you that pretty much anything, you can make a solar oven out of pretty much anything. You know, the drawback to that, though, is you have to have a sunny day. This would be my primary. A solar oven would be my secondary. These with the candles, they are, I would say, a third or a fourth option. They have absolute potential for lower temperature cooking, like slow cooking, heating up soups, that kind of thing. I've altered this for that pan. I'm going to try candles one more time to see if I can maybe cook a burger. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is some fantastic, fantastic stuff. You don't, when you use this, you don't need nothing else. Oh yeah, that is so good.